Good evening, everybody. Welcome to what I would call a season-ending interview with the head coach of the Conneaut Spartans, Rocco Dobran. Rocco and I will discuss his 5 years that he's been here in Conneaut, and we will go over game by game of this past season. All right, good evening, everybody, again, and I'm very excited tonight. We've got a season-ending interview here with the head coach of the Conneaut Spartans, Rocco Dobran. And he's brought along 4 of his players here, and I'll have them introduce themselves.
My name is Gaugh, and I play middle linebacker.
My name is Josh Kay. I played left guard.
My name is Tysen, and I play quarterback.
I'm Rivera, and I play strong safety.
And we're going to talk to all 4 of those kids together right after we're done talking with Coach Rocco. All right, head coach Rocco Dobran of the Conneaut Spartans is with me. And Rocco, it's hard to believe, but you have been in Conneaut for 5 full seasons. Is it hard for you to believe that?
Yeah, it went real quick. It seems like yesterday I got hired, and then 5 years later here we are, and you know, a lot of good things since then, and I'm kind of happy where we're at the program, and hopefully we keep moving forward.
I remember interviewing you on the morning TV show in your first year. Haven't had a chance to interview you since, except maybe at a downtown Coaches Club banquet. But for those new, give us a little preview. You're a Youngstown native. Tell us a little bit about your days in Youngstown, where you went to school and what you did there.
I was at Fallen High School, and that's where I played football. I played the major leagues up and everything, so I played 4 years there, and under Coach Rick Shepis. And after that I went to college, to Muskingum College, and played Division III ball. For 4 years there, and then from there, my old coach Shepis, he got hired at Massillon, so that's kind of how that was my first coaching job there in Massillon, and that's how I got the whole coaching thing started. And he I always knew I wanted to be a coach, and so I talked to him, and what's the best route to go, and he got me a job there, and that's where everything started as far as coaching goes.
You came to Conneaut, your first year here was 2012, I believe?
Yes.
Or 2011. 2011.
Yeah.
Your first 2 years was a struggle here. You won, I think, 1 game out of 20. But when you first came here, you had like 37 players, I remember, on the roster. So you've done quite a recruiting job, because I think there's 60 on this current roster.
Yeah, I think the first thing that when I came in here and I got the assistant coaches on board, and what we tried to do is just build a youth program, make sure that the kids were having a good time at the middle school level. Make sure that the youth program, the kids were, enjoying, participating, being a part of the program. And then just try to do, keep some old traditions, but kind of make our own new traditions. Make kids really want to be a part of a family, And, like I said, after that first year, we lost, for about 2 years, we had around 33 to 35 kids. And then that third year, with 35 kids, we won 6 games. And that's probably the biggest recruiter you got. So, you win a couple games, and then that next year we had like 60 kids come out, and 50 of them stuck with it through the whole season, or 51. And I believe this year we ended with 54. So yeah, we're in a good spot, and hopefully we can keep building those numbers up.
I know you talked about 4 key things: faith, family, education, and football for your football team. I believe in that order: faith, family, education, and football. Talk a little bit about your beliefs in those 4 things.
Well, I got to a point where, trying to come up with philosophy was the best thing that fits me and the program. And it kind of, I talked to a couple of my mentor coaches, and they said, you just got to be yourself and be true to yourself. And at that time, that's kind of where my priorities were as far as my life. Like, faith is very important to me. My belief in God and that kind of thing. And then my family was, was right there, the next most important thing. My kids and my wife, and doing the right thing for them. And I just love this game of football and coaching and trying to, make younger kids better people. So with that, you add the education in there for them, because they got to understand that that's going to be a huge part of their lives and their future. So then that's when I came up. Hey, if they're good kids and they're doing the right thing off the field, and if they care, they understand family values and things they can do to help their families at home, and how their family is always going to be there for them. And if not, we have a football family here for you. It's going to take care of you. and then you get into the education, the importance. If you have an education, the more opportunities you have in your future. You know, the football's gonna come. The football's gonna be easy. I could easily coach a kid. A kid that has those 3 priorities in order is gonna be easy to coach on the field. They're gonna do the right thing. So, you know, we try to teach those priorities first because those are the things that are gonna make them, you know, better husbands down the road, better dads down the road, and just better members of society. So that's kind of been the philosophy, and I think, you know, that's what we're gonna keep going with. So.
Well, keep up the good work on that. What we're going to do here in a little bit is go through all 10 games, because I'm sure you have a story or something to say about all 10 of those games that you can remember. But before you do, how about recognizing the rest of your great coaching staff that you have and what their roles and responsibilities are?
Well, I got our defensive coordinator is Aaron Joslin. He does a great job for us, and it's got to the point where he pretty much runs the defense, and you know, he checks everything through me real quick, and I just have so much trust in him that it's like, yep, that sounds good. I think there might have been 1 game or 2 games all year where I even like mentioned like, hey, coach, why don't you try this? You know, and the rest is him, and you know, it's just that it's great to have a good guy that you can just trust that much. He's just become that much of a student of the game, and just loves the coach, so he's good with the kids. He's our linebackers coach. And then I have also helping him with linebackers and doing the offensive line. He took over the offensive line this year, actually, as coach. Tony Passanen, he did a great job. He kind of took it under his wing. That, you know, I want to get these offensive linemen. He never really coached that position individually, and he said, I want to do something new and something I'll enjoy. And I said, you'll like the offensive line. It's a good thing. And he built a great relationship with the kids, had them over to eat at his house, and Coach Johnson did too. And so Coach Paston did a great job for us with the offensive line and helping with linebackers. We had Coach Pate with the running backs. And Coach Pate does everything for me. He's my guy at the high school. Since I've been here, he's been with me, and he does everything behind the scenes that you can do. Coach Pate does for me, so he keeps me organized. Coach Salvaco is our special teams coach, and everyone knows, you know, him from the head basketball coach, great coach. He organized my special teams. Again, I didn't have to do anything but just say, yep, that looks good, that doesn't look good. And he's a super organized guy. So I had like 2 or 3 organized guys, so that's a good thing for me, because I can be a little bit unorganized. So, but those guys kept me, they're great guys, great coaches that just, you know, keep me on task. New to the staff this year also was Coach Gabe Cellini. He worked with the defensive backs. And, you know, he wanted to coach last year, and he kind of couldn't fit in the time and that kind of thing. And this year he made time with his restaurant business and stuff, and being a teacher too, so he does a lot. He got kids and all. But Coach Cellini did a great job, jumped on board and jumped right in, and learned as much as he could, as fast as he could, and helped with our defensive backs. So now I think we only have like 800 yards passing this year, so as a team, so he did a great job. We also had, who am I missing, guys? We had a lot of volunteer coaches this year. We had Coach Tadero, who came over. He wanted to help when he could, so he was a great volunteer. He helped with receivers, a little bit with quarterbacks and defensive backs. Coach Teddy Johnson, again, he volunteered since I've been here. He's a great energy guy, high energy, always getting the kids pumped up. And you know, he's a little bit of a yeller, but every time he yells, he makes sure he compliments you the next second. So
you gotta like that high energy.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the great thing about this staff. There's so many different personalities. You got your guys that yell, you got your guys that are quiet, you got your guys that joke, you got your guys. You know, there's a little bit of all kinds of different personalities, and these kids find that out pretty quick. So
I know Timmy Talbot has got to be high energy.
He talks pretty fast. He's got he likes to repeat himself 3 times, right? So no, but he does a great job. He's very high energy, and he's very intense, and that's good for me, because he'll get practice started and he'll get it going, and with our new schedule with school and everything, like I was actually there after all the high school coaches. So Coach Sabaka, he was always be one of the first guys to get it rolling there. But yeah, so that's my staff.
What about your future Spartans? They're the 7th and 8th grade level. Who do you have coaching there?
We had Coach Matt Bidwell. He's been doing it for the last couple of years.
Also the wrestling coach.
Yeah, the head wrestling coach, and he's doing a great job. He's a great wrestling coach. So you can tell he's great with kids. And he's learning the game, and and like the most important thing is that he just knows how to deal with kids and make them work hard and have fun out there. So they like playing for him. And he got Greg Woods to help him this year. He's an ex-Conneaut player. Back when they were pretty darn good. I think he played around 85 years or somewhere in there. 84, right?
Yeah.
Mid-80s, yeah.
45,
yeah.
6.
So he helped out, and he had some volunteers down there. I think Buddy Dale helped down there. So there's a lot of help, a lot more coaches just with volunteers and stuff than when I first came to.
Well, 3 winning seasons in a row. I know you said in the paper it was back-to-back winning seasons, but actually you got 3 straight winning seasons: 6-4, 7-3, and 6-4. So that is remarkable after the struggles in the first 2 years. And before you came, we've had 10 losing seasons in a row, so we're happy to have you here. Let's run down the games this year. The first game, of course, opening night was in the stadium at Jocelyn Field against John Hay. Kind of a controversial ending to that game with the touchdown and no touchdown in the end zone. But what you said to the reporter, I thought was good. You didn't really necessarily look at that. You looked at the defense and how they played after that score was made.
Yeah, I think if you look at the whole game, and I tell the kids this because it'll always be hard to look back at that play and know, yeah, we should have scored there. It clearly looks like a touchdown. But that's not the game of football. I mean, the football game was played for 48 minutes, and we had bad snaps. We had a snap over our punter's head for a safety. We were still winning the game after that, and they go down and score. So we kind of hung our heads there. So there was a lot of things that happened in that game where that referee call or that call in the end zone should have mattered. I just don't believe in any game you should really, hang your head. Don't let it be in the refs' hands. They're doing the best job they can do. I don't think any ref would purposely make a call. So they're doing the best job you could. You just can't leave it in their hands. You got to play good enough to where that call doesn't matter. So that's just kind of what we believe.
The only thing I want to say about that is being up in the press box doing the games, of course. It seemed like the referee was delayed. It was a delayed call. Any explanation given to you to why that was?
There was no explanation. There was.
It just seemed like he was. I think it was Sturgill.
Yeah.
I think it's like in there 5 seconds before there was even a call made.
I mean, it looks like on film he hits the ground about 4 yards deep when the ball comes out. And then there were, it'd be nice to get a discussion, that kind of thing. And the referees probably hate it, but we have a new sideline video system to where we can see the plays on the sideline within seconds. But they're not allowed to look at it, of course. So every time there's a bad call a year, we're like, wait, we can see it on film. So they probably didn't like that, but like I said, they're doing the best job they could. I don't think anyone purposely do anything other than that. And like I said, a couple bad snaps and a couple plays here or there, and that play doesn't even matter.
So after an opening night loss, the following week you went to Warren, 50-minute trip down there to play Warren Champion. Second year in a row you came up with a victory against Champion, so back-to-back wins there. Also second year in a row where we had weather problems with Champion. I mean, last year they took 2 days to complete the win against Champion. This year you had long delays. You blew them out. I didn't get to see that game, so you got to tell me a little bit about it.
Well, it was a typical Champion game, and it was weather, and I think all 5 years of weather have been, because our first 2 years was like 90 degrees, so it's always been something.
Yeah.
But they're a typical Champion team where they came out and they said, we're going to put 8 guys in the box, and we're not going to let you run the ball, and we didn't really try to run the ball too much. We said, if you're going to play man-to-man, or single up our receivers, we played some cover 3, some man, but basically on our backside to our chips, they were going to play one-on-one against Gertis. And so we took advantage of that. I think they put 3 or 4 different defensive backs on him, and he had a big night. Tysen had a big night throwing to him and just connecting. And we played a little sloppy again the first half and getting it going. And then we came out the second half after the delay and kind of ran away with it. But again, early, we did shoot ourselves in the foot. We fumbled on like the 6-yard line, and that was their first score. And but once we got things together, we kind of just, like I said, we ran away with it, and the passing game was open, and our defense played great. Like I said, they only gave up 1 real touchdown. I think even that second touchdown, they were in good field position. The offense got them in good field position, so our defense had a great game that game.
Yeah, I think your team responded well. coming off a
Absolutely.
heartbreaker on opening night. Week 3, you played in the rain and the wind and whatever else there was against the Geneva Eagles. Tough loss there in the fourth quarter, late too. 14-13 was the score of that game, and I told everybody if it wasn't raining, I know the weather's the same for both clubs, but I think Conneaut is built for the passing game, and I think the rain, my opinion, played a factor in there. I'd like to see you play Geneva in dry weather.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and this is where it's a learning lesson for me. I learned a lot through that game. Still a young coach, and the game plan was, all week to throw the ball. Because they are a very physical, strong team up front, and we knew that they've always been. They got bigger, stronger guys up front, and they're going to load the box. So that was their style, and I just thought that they would have had a really hard time covering Myers and Gertis and Isaiah and some of our other receivers. And so our game plan was to throw it, and you saw we would still try to throw it in the rain, but it caused a couple of drops and stuff. So that was our game plan, and then I just got to do a better job of once it down toward to get out of the game plan a little bit, and Sturge wound up being really successful later in the season, so I could always look back and say, hey, maybe get a different formation and hand the ball off and that kind of thing. But it's all learning lessons, and like you said, hey, weather's weather, and both teams got to plan it, and you can never come down and make that an excuse. It messes with our game plan just like it can mess with anybody else's game plan. You just got to adjust, and we didn't adjust well enough to win, so down by 1. We closed the gap though. We've never beaten them, and 2 years ago they beat us by like 50 points. So
I was just going to say you're getting closer and closer. I think 2 years ago you lost a close game in Geneva to the Eagles.
Right, I think it was a 15-point game, a 14-point game. So.
Now what's up with these 2-hour trips? Week 4 you're going all the way down to Tuslaw. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
49-39 final. 28 points the defense gave up in the fourth quarter. Tell me about that.
Well, it was a hard-fought game. We were in a good spot. Everyone's seen them football games where the wheels fall off, and that's kind of what happened. 2 very good teams playing against each other, and I think early on in the first 3 quarters we did have the upper hand by a little bit. We were both running the ball well, but we were controlling the clock a little bit better. We were in a good situation. We were up 10 points. We had a costly penalty. We had a costly penalty, and but and the thing is that that happens all the time.
Yeah, sure.
That happens all the time, and they gained a little bit of momentum. It still took them about probably 4 or 5 minutes to score. So when they actually scored after that penalty, it was into the fourth quarter. So we were still up by 10 going into the fourth, and they scored probably about 2 minutes into the fourth quarter. And again, we're still winning the game. We're still in a good spot. But then the wheels fell off. I know they got an onside kick, and they scored again. And again, they're up by 4, so it's not a big deal. It's not, hey, we're running the ball great. Our offense is doing good. I think Tysen throws a ball and it gets tipped. He gets tipped by a lineman, and it goes like 4 yards off target when they haven't stopped a hitch all night. And they get an interception. They score again. And then we got a little desperate trying to throw a screen probably when we shouldn't have. And an interception for a touchdown. So before we knew it, they scored, and it really had nothing to do with the defense at that point. And then I think after that, they scored 4 times in a short amount of time. That then we kind of maybe laxed a little bit, and they started running their counter really well, and they beat us.
It really was an offensive shootout. Does being on the bus for 2 hours or whatever, I think it was about a 2-hour trip, does that have any effect?
I think it's always going to have a little bit of effect. It's a long day, but is it why we lost? No, that's not why. That all of a sudden we threw a couple interceptions, they get an onside kick. All that stuff has nothing to do with a long trip. Our legs might have been a little tired here or there, and it is what it is. But I think it's definitely going to affect you. But it was a good trip. We ended up going to Madison, Washington High School, and seeing their facilities and eating lunch there, and it was pretty nice. So.
After that game, you're going to come home for 3 straight weeks. You started a 4-game winning streak. It started with Wyndham. That was a blowout game, if I remember correctly. Tell me a little bit how that game was.
That was our first solid performance. Like, that was our first performance, and I know, we were a better team, we're a bigger school, but that was our first clean game where we had no turnovers. very few bad plays. We executed. We ran the ball well. We threw the ball well. Our defense played fantastic. And I just felt like that first full game where, no matter how much better you are another team or whatever, and they're a 6-win ball club. I mean, they're a smaller team, but they're a 6-win ball club. We played a perfect game. It was not a sloppy win. Like, whereas I thought champions at times were still sloppy, and that was that first win where everything we executed and we did was we planned to do, and it was good. It was fun. It was a fun game.
Jim Campbell was saying they will not be on our schedule next year. Just a one-year contract with them. Homecoming was next, Pymatuning Valley Lakers, another game that relatively easy for the Conneaut Spartans in that one. I know you don't want to hear that word easy because nothing is easy, but as far as when you look at the final score.
Absolutely, and it was another game very similar. Very similar, no turnovers, and good things happened. And PV was dinged up there. They had a lot of guys injured this year, and they were hurt and they were struggling. They had some preseason issues with some players. So they had a tough year this year, but we went out and did our job. And like I said, it was game 2 that, again, like flawless. I don't think we had any turnovers. And the defense did a great job, and they scored one late against our young guys, and our young guys did a good job in that game actually too. So I think Mikey Williams scored a touchdown or so.
Gilmore Academy was up next, your first win against the Knights. That was a pretty good game too.
That was.
Something like 32 to 16 or something like that.
Yeah, they were, I think it was like 42-24, right? 42-24. And their record wasn't very good, but they were a good ball club. They only lost literally 2 or 3 returning starters from the year before.
Well, the record wasn't very good, but looking at the program, they've been in the postseason quite a bit.
Last 2 years, yeah. Last 2 years they're in the postseason. We had a one point game against them last year. We lost by 1. And then about 3 years ago,
overtime, wasn't it?
No, we lost them on the last minute field goal attempt, and then they were really good 2 years ago. Then 3 years ago, we were in double overtime at our place against them. We've had a lot of battles against them that were close, and like I said, they returned a lot of guys, and we knew they were going to be better than their record. And that was the first. Coaches kind of laugh at me because I've always been a spread guy, and I don't know why or what got into my head, but some of the things they were doing defensively were like, we're going to run some pro I, which we've never ran pro I, and that's the game where Sturgill went off for 330 yards. And they weren't loading the box, so we ran that, and then they loaded the box and it didn't matter. So our offensive line just did phenomenal that game. And our defense is really good. They got some they had 2 late touchdowns in the fourth quarter, trying to sling the ball around. But they had their quarterback back from last year, their tailback back. They were a good ball club, and I was very proud of that win. Like I said, the first time we beat them in a lot of close ones, and finally we got the edge on this one.
Week 8, you went to Edgewood. As we all know, that's a bit of a rivalry game, always has been. They say no matter who's having the better year, you just throw the records out because it's going to be a battle, and no exception here, 17-14, you come out on top. Yeah,
like you said, rivalry game scores, the records out the door, it doesn't matter. And one good thing is I feel like our players, since I've been here, have always been excited about those games. My year 1, that was our only win. Year 2, they went to the playoffs, and it was a 6-point game, and that was when we were 0-10, and they went to the playoffs. So, our kids have always played up for that game, and I expected nothing different. And it was a tough game. We go out and scored too early, and Tysen, he got his knee taken out there and was injured, and tough kid there because he played the whole first half anyways. So we were in a good spot, and then again we made some mistakes. I think we had 4 turnovers that game. We had 2 fumbles in the second half. They were both when we were driving, and Coach Priest had their kids playing hard. I mean, they played. They had some issues on their team. The weeks coming up, and some guys out, but they were just as excited to play us as we were to play them, and it was a hard-fought battle to the end. We just kept going and kept fighting, and they got scary at the end. We fumbled when we shouldn't. We really can't fumble. To try to put the game away, and they had the ball in a good spot, and our defense stepped up. And I know Cole Walker had a huge sack, and then on 4th down,
big sack.
Yeah, he had a huge sack, and on 4th down he pressured him again and hit him as he was throwing. So we came up with a win, and in a game like that, that's all you care about. Again, records out the door, just get the win somehow, or you can get the win. So
And of course, Sturgill going up against his former team, he had a good running game that day.
Oh, he had a great game. He had 2 interceptions, and He had like 140, 160 yards rushing. So he had a great day, and then Alex came in at quarterback the second half and just did what he had to do to hold on. So, with very little reps at that point.
Beating Edgewood is always compared to as like Ohio State beating Michigan every year. That's the Michigan game for Conneaut. Week 9, Grand Valley, another tough game, another tough loss. 28-24, denied at the goal line at the end.
Yeah, it was a great game, great team both ways, and again, too many mistakes early, too many penalties, too many bad snaps, and it really should have came down to that last drive. But I was so proud of our guys that on that last drive we get the ball and they go down there and they make something happen. And we were in a really good situation, and on the last 3 plays, there were 3 really weird things that happened that I never seen, and it was all about trying to give extra effort. You can never blame the kids. You can never. Every play was an effort play. I know Sturgill threw the ball in the end zone from the 2-yard line, and it was just one of those he just reacted and saw a kid and just threw it, and it's a legal forward pass to the fast line scrimmage. So we had a penalty there, and then we threw the ball. Alex threw the ball to Alex. Rivera threw it to Gertis, and we all thought he was in. Their guys thought he was in. Our guys, their heads went down. Our guys jumped up, and the referee marked it on the inch line. And you really can't tell on film that it's something that close. So we got to go ahead and score. And Alex Rivera was very heads up. The clock was ticking down, and under 10 seconds, and he got everybody to the line. The quarterback sneak, and I think he would have got in. But again, our tailback's trying to make a good play and help him out, and he pushes him in the back and trips him up. And he lands about 2 inches short of the goal line. So it's a tough game, but it shouldn't have came down to that. Again, we had our mistakes early in the game. We had the 2 fumbles there and a couple bad snaps early and some things. So
let me ask you this. Let's say that was a 3-point game. Put you on the spot for a little bit. You're at the 5-yard line or something like that, 4th down there. You're going to bring Eric in to tie it and go to overtime, or are you going to go try to punch it in for the win?
Well, if we had the opportunity, we would probably kick there. Well, it depends. If we were on the 1-inch line, we would win for it, for sure. I have faith in our linemen. If it would have been 3rd and 6, or 3rd and 6 where we were, it would have been an incomplete pass, so 4th and 6, then we would have definitely kicked it. But if they're going to mark the ball on the inch line, and then we wouldn't have had the opportunity to get Eric on the field because the clock was winding with no timeouts, we would definitely still, I have faith in my line, and Alex, he's just a scrappy little, finds a way to get a yard if he needs a yard. So I had all faith in him that he could do that.
And then we wrap it up with senior parent night against Chalker. The Spartans against Chalker, 49-6 win. Senior parent night, extra special?
Yeah, absolutely. It was this group of seniors is just a very special group, and I know all of them are. But just a lot of good kids. It was a bigger class than we've had, and it was one of them special classes where we had 6 kids come out as freshmen 4 years ago. And then, one of our players didn't come out as sophomore year, but they came back out. Junior, senior had a great year, Justin Myers. And he'll tell you he regretted not coming out that 1 year. But the other 5 guys were our 5 captains, and they played all 4 years. So we started with 6 and we ended with 12. I think we started the season with 14 actually, seniors, and went up with 12. But, so they doubled their size. They got other buddies to come out, and the guys that got to come out really helped. They really helped the program, Barrett and Big Bruin Dog, and it was just
Bruning.
Big Bruning,
Okay.
James Bruning. Just a special class of guys that just really seemed really close to each other.
Yes.
They had their own little family.
No question about it.
Yeah, I loved every one of them, and like I said, all 5, the 5 that started, they all at some time played, their sophomore year. They got some playing time. Then Bruning played that year too. So they all started at least somewhere in there. That sophomore year, and then their junior years, I think we had like 8 or 9, from that class starting, as juniors. So they were the core. Even the year before, with some very good seniors, ahead of them, but they were the core of that team. They had the most players on the field from their class, and then, this year they were there and they were together, and it's been the first year where every single game we were there, we were in it, and so record is what it is, and it's a winning record. It's good, and
You can argue you could have been 9-1.
Yeah, you can very easily argue 9-1, and that's just to be that close. You know, it hurts them. They want to see better, but like I said, those guys, they were a part of 3 winning seasons. You know, their sophomore year up, and that's just an amazing thing for them that they accomplished. And it's a great group of kids, and I'm excited because I think it's going to be a group of kids where a lot of them go on to college and stick with it. You know, whether they play football or not, whatever. Some will, some won't. But I think we'll get more kids in that class that actually move on and, you know, really successful than we've had in the past couple of years.
Before I bring the kids on, just a few general questions. What was your most satisfying moment this year?
You know, that's a tough one. There's a lot. But I did like, obviously, the Edgewood win was very big. I don't know why, it just meant a lot this year, and it was a kind of emotional game. And then, you know what, and I didn't really get to talk about the Chalker game. You know, the nice thing about that, and it was a very, these kids in some ways didn't want to end with a game like that their senior year, you know, where, you know, it was kind of an easy win. But at the same time, we got, I think, 3 seniors touchdowns that hadn't scored all year. Josh Kay and Bruin got to carry the ball a little bit. And, so we got to do a lot of fun things, you know. So even though it wasn't that competitive game, it was a really fun game for those kids, and so that was kind of special. And other than that, you know, just to be able to compete every game, you know, it was just a special deal, a special group of kids.
You stole some of my thunder. That was one of the things I was going to throw at Josh. Anything disappointing to you this year?
You know, other than the outcomes of a couple games, you know, the kids played. They came out and played hard every game, and they did everything I asked them to do. And by no means was anything that when we lost our games, none of them were because of effort, you know. And so I'm proud of that. So there's not a whole lot of disappointment other than the actual final score for a couple games there, you know. And you know, always going to think about that. But at the end of the day, you know, we say, well, why are we here? We're teaching kids to learn lessons. We hope they learn lessons and become good young men. And I think we got that accomplished. I think that most of these guys are, you know, they're going to hopefully learn something out of being on this football program for the last couple of years, and hopefully they use something in their future lives, whether it's next year, whether it's 20 years down the road, and they face some adversity and they can get through it because they learned some lessons and how to get through some adversity during the football season.
How about the conference thing, not being in a conference? Do you see eventually somewhere down the line getting in, or?
You know, I guess I feel like a little bit of an outsider because I'm not from around here. Because I keep, you know, I always hear the positives of, you know, we're going to get something, and it hasn't happened. So I mean, I got my hopes up because I think that it would be a good thing, you know. But I think it's going to have to. I think we're going to have to. I mean, the county is going to have to start one. I don't know really where we fit in unless that happens. You know, but
we need to play that Jefferson.
I think
we need to play that.
I think at the end of the day, I think the Edgewood would definitely love to have a county conference, and I think Grand Valley and PV wouldn't be opposed to it. I think they would, you know, because their league's getting really small on that back end of it. So I think they wouldn't mind having a conference in the county. You know, maybe pulling a couple other teams in, and I think Jefferson, as long as, you know, they would buy in maybe if they knew it was going to stick. You know, they don't want to get out of the All-American if this, you know. So I don't know. I think if we, I think they need to pull something with the county and either pull some, you know, teams down the road like the Painesvilles or maybe even some Trumbull County teams and, you know, get something going. I think we got a shot. So.
In closing, Rocco, talk a little bit about the Downtown Coaches Club and what they do for your team. They have supported you. They just completed their 50th year as an organization here in town.
Oh, great organization, and great for these kids. I mean, their number one priority is the kids, like, and that's what we try to do for everything. But they do whatever they can to get some support from the community, and the community has been phenomenal since I've been here. Every year, just more people are just, you know, buying in and giving to the program. And because of all they do, I mean, we were able the last 2 years to take our kids to camps in the summer. We went to Hiram Camp this year, Edinburgh last year. We recently got new jerseys within the last 3 years. But you know, more than that, we have, like, I'm able to have team picnics, like, just at my house, you know, with my wife cooking for these kids in the summer. We have our team picnic together that they provide. Every Thursday night, we have a Thursday night team meal, which they're providing. And not really, the community provides it because the community is given to them, but they're organizing it. They're organizing the reverse raffles to make money. They're organizing, the banquet at the end of the year and giving these kids nice awards and that kind of thing, and making sure that they got nice gear to wear and spirit packs, and the kids are involved in a couple of fundraisers where they earn some of their own stuff. But it's just a great group, and they make sure the JVs are fed. They make sure things are just taken care of, and our equipment, we've gotten way better helmets over the past 3 years. A couple of new shoulder pads, that kind of thing, and video equipment, technology. I know 5 years ago when I came, I still had to watch games on VHS tape, the old games. So all that's changed in 5 years. And like I said, we got that new online, the sideline system, and that was so great to be able to coach our kids on the sideline with film immediately. So all that's just because of the work they put in, and then the community support that gives the money to them. It's just been phenomenal, and it's a great town, it's a great community, and a great place to live.
And we like having you here. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. And good luck to you next year.
Yep.
Rocco Dobran, coach of the Conneaut Spartans. Up next, we'll talk to some of the team members. Okay, we are back here. Now we have some of the Spartan football players for the Conneaut Spartans this year. And to my right, we have Alex Rivera, number 23. We have Tysen Hunt, number 12. Both of these guys are quarterbacks. You're a wide receiver as well.
Yes.
We've got Josh Kay, number 55. I thought played defense, but now I know that you're running back too. And then we got Steve Gaugh down there at the end. And we're going to talk to the boys here and get a feel. Got a couple questions for each of you, and then I'll throw some general questions out for you. We'll start with Tysen Hunt over here. Tell us a little bit about that injury. I know you played 7 games and then a half of another one. So about a 7.5 game season for you. How was your injury and how are you recovering from it? Tell us about it.
In about the first drive of our on offense in that game, we ran a read option, and I gave the ball away, and the kid thought I had it and took out my knee. And unfortunately, I was injured pretty bad. But at the time, I didn't know, and I played the rest of that half. Now it's a lot better. I'm starting physical therapy on Monday, or today I'm supposed to start.
But you play another sport?
I play baseball this week.
So how would that be for baseball?
If I go through physical therapy like I should, I think I'll be back to 100% for the baseball season.
Did you play middle school football?
Yes, I did.
I think we covered one of your games. It was a night game under the lights against Braden. I believe you were in that game.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, to my left here we got Stephen Gaugh, who plays offense and defense, running back and linebacker. Steve, what do you like? I know you like both, but making that big catch or making a big 25-yard run or making some kind of a significant tackle that stops the opponent's drive, what's more thrilling for you? And explain a little bit on that.
To me, the most thrilling would be defense because I'm more of a defensive guy. It's just always hype to make a tackle or a sack and help your team out.
Now what about that running play, though? You get 25 yards and get your team down to the 10-yard line.
That's always helpful because sometimes it might be stuck a little bit, only getting 1 yard here, 2 yards there, maybe like a 5-yard hitch or whatever, but then to come away with a big run or a big pass is always helpful.
You wear uniform number 25. Did you get to pick that number, or is that a number just given to you?
I picked it ever since freshman year.
So you picked your own number. Anything significant about that number?
Not really, besides freshman year, the number that I used to wear for 7th and 8th grade, we didn't have at the time. So I decided to pick number 25, and ever since I just kind of stuck with it.
Good. From 25, we'll go over to 23 here. Talk a little bit to Alex Rivera, quarterback and a wide receiver. Most of the season you were a wide receiver, making some great catches. What's it like, though, when you're told by the coach that you're going to go into this game that's already in progress as a quarterback? Are you prepared? How do you prepare yourself? Because, you know, when you watch football games, quarterback's got to be prepared to go in at any time.
Yeah, well, in practice, I didn't really get a lot of reps, so like going into that game, like I wasn't really worried about it, about playing quarterback, but like when it actually happened, I had to get focused and I had to just give my 100% effort. If I didn't give my 100% effort, then I mean, what's, you know.
Well, like you did last year, I remember you went in the game
Yeah.
as a quarterback.
Yeah,
I think it was against Champion, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
it was.
But, and you did well.
I was told like that in like 3 to 4 hours before the game that I was starting, and I just focused before that, and I just, you know, played the game well, and yeah.
And we still got you next year. I was thinking got both of you next year. So that's a good thing. Mr. K, number 55, did you get to pick your number?
Yes.
And anything significant about that number?
I mean, not really. I mean, it was just, I had an older cousin that played a few years ahead of me. He was this number, so I picked it.
What was his first name?
Clayton.
Okay. Offensive lineman and a defensive lineman.
Yep.
Tackling is a big part of football. Give us some of the techniques to making a good solid tackle.
Pretty much, you just gotta, stay low. You really gotta wrap the thighs so they don't, run, and just take them down.
Easier to take, they're gonna go down if you get them by the feet more so than if you get them in the upper
Yeah.
body.
Yep.
Anything else that's
Hit them
you want
hard.
to share with us?
Just hit them hard.
Now, when you say hit them hard, explain that.
I mean, you just drive your feet to the tackle.
Okay.
Hit them hard. Yep, hit them hard.
Hit them hard. Okay, that's what they say. All right, Tyson.
Yes, sir.
Let's see here. You had a lot of multi-talented receivers on your team. Did you feel comfortable no matter who you were throwing it to? Whether you're throwing it to Alex or both Alexes and Myers and the other ones that you had. I mean, so many of them were great at catching the pass that you threw.
I was pretty confident as soon as I let the ball out of my fingers, if I got it to them, then they would come down to catch.
Did you have a favorite target to go to?
Alex, for sure. Alex Regis.
Especially down in the sidelines, I noticed. You
Yes.
throw it toward the sideline to Alex Curtis. He's a guy that seems to catch everything.
Definitely. If I need to throw a ball up for him to go get it, he's going to be the one I'm throwing to. In any big situation.
Now, when you call a play in the huddle, like say you've got a play designed to throw to Alex and he's double covered, then what do? What are you thinking right off the bat?
Other side. I'm not looking at him anymore. I'm looking towards Myers and Ribby. Usually when he's
And they already
on
know
the
that.
side. Yeah, they should.
They should.
Yeah.
Okay. Stephen, you're a 4-year player.
Yes.
For the Spartans. And you played all 4 years for that man over here, Coach
Yes.
Rocco Dobran, so watch what you say. But tell us each year what it was like as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. What did you learn different? That kind of stuff. What was different between each year?
As a freshman, I just liked to play football, so I went out for the team, and then I never thought I'd start as a freshman, but after game 1, our starting linebacker got hurt, so the spot was open, and I fought for it, and next thing you know, I was starting for game 2 against Champion as middle linebacker, only weighing like 120 pounds, but I just went out there and gave it my all, and didn't really do that well that year, but it's only because as a freshman, it's going to be hard. From sophomore year, again, a little bit younger, but RJ Nelson was next to me, so he really kind of helped mentor me towards what I became. And then junior year, I kind of took over for linebackers because we had no returning linebackers besides me, so I had Brian, who got moved from D-line back to linebackers with me. And then senior year, I kind of, again, by myself, and then we got Sergio with us, and then I kind of helped him get into like his learning all the new plays and making sure he was able to take over for next year.
You were one of 5 captains?
Yes.
Captains? Tell me about it. What is a captain? What do they do? What's the role, responsibility of a captain?
They kind of like help lead the team on, like bring others with them to do the right things on and off the field and make sure they're like giving 100% in practice and like kind of a person they can count on for anything.
Are all 5 of you captain at every game, or you got certain games where you're the main captain?
Well, usually it's 3 of us go out, and then there's an honorary captain every week, so 3 go out with an honorary captain, and then 2 stay behind.
So when you go out to the center circle, you're deciding the heads and tails who's kicking off and that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Do you talk to the opposing team?
Yes.
You have to?
Yeah.
Good. Alex, as a wide receiver, how do you try to get away from coverage? How do you,
Well,
somebody playing you tight, how can you get away so quickly?
Coach Tobacco always said to make that double move. So once you make that double move, it's basically over. Like, you'll get open, and then hopefully Tysen throws you the ball.
Do you like playing wide receiver?
Yes, I do. It's actually, I have a great time playing wide receiver. I mean, I'll play quarterback if I have to, but wide receiver is one of my top positions.
When you are playing quarterback and you want to throw, but then you end up having to run, do you get a little nervous about that?
No, I love running the ball. That's my main thing is running the ball. I mean, Tysen really has a great arm and I don't. So like, I mean, it's kind of like, if I don't see anybody open, I'm dashing for the first down.
So when you don't see any of the receivers open, you're running
Basically.
up the middle?
Well,
sides?
away from the other team. I'm gonna make it. I'll make a juke move and I'll run for the first down or even more.
Josh, when I was talking with Coach Rocco, he kind of hinted about that game against Chalker, calling that game up there in the press box, and I saw you running with the football there at the end. You almost got it into the end zone. I was telling them I'm going to have to go down to the bench and tell Alex Sturgill he's got to move to another position, because you were that good. I mean, you almost made it in there.
I think you got me mixed up.
Oh, I do?
Burning.
Oh, I thought it was you. Oh, my face is probably all red now because I got the wrong player.
He ran the ball too, but it wasn't one to goal.
We'll talk about what you're running, and then talk about Brooding's run,
Oh, okay.
so we could save some face here.
Well, I had a jet sweep, and I got the ball.
What's a jet sweep?
It's where I line up as wide receiver, and during the quarterback's cadence, I run over, and when the ball is snapped, I run towards the sideline, bounce it. So I got the ball, run towards the sideline. The first guy came at me, and he hit me, and the ball popped out. And I ended up looking up, and the ball just fell back in my hands, and I recovered my own fumble.
It had to be a thrill.
Yeah, it was pretty
Sure, it was
fun.
a thrill for Brooding too, right?
Yeah, it was. He did really good too.
And I think after he ran it in, did we give him the ball again? The very next play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he almost scored. He did pretty good.
Okay, so a few general questions now for you guys. You can each take a stab at it. We'll start over here with Steve. What was it like playing for Coach Dobran and the staff all 4 years?
It was actually pretty fun. I mean, freshman year we didn't have that much of a winning season, but practice was always fun, and he always like did different things to make sure we were always like enjoying practice. And
Josh? Same
I mean, I gotta agree with Steven. I mean, he's a great coach, great guy, fun to play for.
Alex?
I mean, every single one of those coaches are amazing. Like they bring us up when we're down, and they're more like they help you with anything that you need to know, and life and football too.
Tysen?
My 7th grade year was Coach Rock's first year here, and I learned a lot about playing the position at quarterback since 7th grade from him. So I owe a lot of what I do now to him.
Right, very good. Do you get caught up into the crowd during tight games now? You guys had like four or five really close games. Do you hear that crowd? Do you get caught up in the crowd, the excitement?
The crowd.
When they're stamping their feet, say defense, and that kind of stuff?
I try my hardest to zone out the crowd in the game, but
You do?
sometimes when it gets going, you can really hear them, and it brings a whole different energy to the field. And now this year, I don't know if you noticed, this was the first year we've had a student section in a long time, and just having our peers being able to cheer and be as loud as possible brings a lot of energy on the field.
Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I think as quarterback, you gotta zone out everything and go through your reads and make a good throw or run the ball if you have to. But yeah, us having a student section this year gave us like, sometimes it helped us win a few games and get us touchdowns. And yeah, the student section really helped out this year.
Josh?
It's always nice having a good student section and everything, but when I'm out on the field, I don't even try, but the crowd just doesn't affect me whatsoever. I don't hear it. I just zone out from it. I'm on the football field. I'm focused on football.
Do you ever hear the PA announcer?
Yeah.
You said the right answer there. Steve?
Oh, I kind of have to agree with him. When I'm out there on the field, I don't really like listen to the outside. I mean, just kind of focus on the game and making sure I get all the calls right for defense. And I know there was a couple of times that the student section really did help us out, give us a little bit of momentum to help go down and score when we needed it.
My next question is something that I'm really very curious to hear the answer to this one. And you each get to answer it too. Do you ever communicate with a game official? You ever say anything to the referee at all? Like what did you have for supper last night or anything like that?
There was a couple games where the refs were kind of like, they'd start talking to us and they were like pretty cool and just kind of like started conversations when we were kind of like ahead by a lot or blowing teams out.
Josh?
I mean, just at the beginning when you go out for captain, just, you know, they talk and stuff, but nothing really during the game. We don't really communicate. Maybe how you doing or something.
Tyson?
It might be different for me as a quarterback. I talk to the refs a lot because there's always a ref behind me, and a lot of times when I throw the ball, if I give the ball away, the refs are right there behind me, so he's just kind of there to talk to.
There wasn't one behind you when you got injured. I saw that video. Alex?
Yeah, I mean, if they did something wrong or they got a call wrong or something, we're told not to talk to them, but but if it's a blowout or something.
Told that by the coach?
Yeah, I mean, if they make a bad call or in our eyes a bad call,
Sure.
you can't talk to them or say something smart to them. So yeah,
Sure.
but if it's like a blowout game or we're just having fun, you can say a few words,
Final question for you guys. Alex, start with you. You ever try to get into the head of the opponent?
I mean, I'm a competitive guy, so sometimes I say a few words as just competitive. It's all competitiveness, and I mean when I'm playing football, whatever goes down on the field stays on the field. So yeah, sometimes I do.
And likewise for them too?
Yeah, I mean the Edgewood game, it's a rivalry, and both teams are gonna talk. You just
Sure.
gotta play through it and show let your player on the field do the talking.
Josh?
I mean, yeah, there's some conversations down in the trenches, but a few choice words are said. But, I mean, yeah, both teams talk sometimes, but...
Steve?
I'm more of a quiet guy. I don't really like to talk during the games.
That's what my wife said when she had you, that you were one of her favorite students.
Yeah, I kind of let my game do more of the talking than I do.
Okay. And Tyson, I'm going to ask you that question.
I'm a pretty quiet person as well, but the emotions of the game sometimes come out when someone talks to me. I don't ever initiate anything getting into their heads, but I usually just keep to myself until something's said to me.
I do have a couple more questions for you. I'm sorry about that. What game stands out as the one you will remember the most in your high school career, Josh K?
I'm going to have to say Grand Valley this year. Even though it was a loss, we were down 21-7, and our team just never gave up, We came back 21-21, and they scored, and we still didn't stop, and we were down a touchdown. Went down, fought hard till the final seconds of the game, and then...
That is something, I can understand that being one of your most memorable.
Mm-hmm.
Steve?
My most memorable would have to be Brookfield of last year. I mean, there's a lot of things that were said about the game, like refs blowing it or whatever, but
Did we win that game?
What?
We won that game?
Yeah. But in the end, it's always fun to have close games rather than blowouts, and that came right down to the last play.
Alex?
My most memorable game would have to be champion of last year, just because, you know.
Thought you would say that.
Yeah, just because coach told me, like, you know, after the school day was over, I was starting, and as an underclassman, a sophomore, I mean, that's pretty nervous, I mean, and I just, you know, played good and played to my potential, and, I mean, I ended up having a sprained ankle at the end of the first half, but it was still really fun to play that game.
Mr. Hunt?
I think mine so far would be the Gilmore game this year because my sophomore year was my first year playing high school football here, and losing to them the way we did by getting a blocked field goal, I think coming out and hearing the whole county basically say that we're going to get destroyed by them and then beat them the way we did was really good.
Let's start with you again. How about on the opposite end now? Is there one of those games you just want to file and forget about?
Yeah.
This year's Edgewood?
Yes.
Alex?
Forget about would probably be John Hay, because we had that game, and, I mean, whatever, the ending was, it's whatever, each guy looked past it, but it really hurt.
Sure did. Josh?
I'm gonna have to agree with Rivera there. There's just-
Alex?
Yeah.
John Hay game.
John Hay, definitely.
For same reasons or anything?
Yeah, same reason. I mean, it was just the end there. So I forget about that.
Steve?
I'm going to have to say the Grand Valley game. I mean, coming back from being down and then getting stopped on like the 6-inch line, it's really got to hurt.
So a couple, you picked Grand Valley. Oh, you picked them on the other end though, as a most memorable game.
Yeah.
Couple local high school teams, Jefferson and Lakeside, that you didn't get to play this year and you haven't played for the last several years. Josh, we'll start with you. Is this a couple schools? I'm assuming you're all going to say yes, that you would love to play.
Oh yeah, I definitely love to play them because like Jefferson, you know, they're always a good team and it'd just be good to play them. You know, might have
Last
a chance
year
to
would have
beat
been
them.
the perfect example.
Yep.
Both teams identical records.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would have been good.
Let's see who's the best in the county, right?
Yep.
Steve?
I think it'd be good to play both teams. I mean, a little bit different like atmospheres for both, but Jefferson's always one where a little bit of a rivalry between us, always has been. And basketball, I know there's a lot of things that go on between the two. Yeah,
I know. Alex?
Yeah, it would be awesome. It would be, I mean, like, I just wish we played them because, you know, teams like from other schools like to talk, and it would just be pretty cool to play them and, you know, show our talent.
Tysen?
Me personally, I'd love to play Jefferson again because I have a lot of really close friends that play on that team that all say they would beat us if we played them, and I just love to.
After high school plans, Josh? You guys got another year to go yet.
Not too sure where I'm gonna go for college, but I'm definitely going to college and I'm gonna pursue a degree in business.
Steve?
I already enlisted into the National Guard for 6 years, and then after basic training, I'll arrive back in Ohio around the fall, February of 2017, and then I'll go to school for accounting.
Do any of you play, are any of you wrestlers? No wrestlers here. Any other sports? You play baseball?
I'm not going to play basketball this year, but I'm going to run track.
No other sports? No. So you're going to get on the stage crew though and support the boys basketball team? Because Michael over there, you guys all know Michael, right? He's going to be with me. We're going to broadcast the Conneaut boys basketball, 8 games. We're also going to do 2 of the girls games. So get up on that stage crew and make all the noise you can.
Always.
And again, good luck to you guys after high school, and we're looking forward to carrying both you guys again next year. Okay, that's Chuck Guglielmo, and good luck to the Conneaut Spartans next year.